Well, one of the things that I've really loved about being a bishop is the chance to go to visit elementary schools, and over the course of the 23 years that I've been a bishop, it's always neat to be able to have the kids pose questions back and forth. And I got to tell you that one of the more frequent questions that youngsters will ask me is, Bishop, who's your favorite saint? If there was any saint that you'd ever want to meet, who would it be? And I got to tell you, in all honesty, it's the man whom we meet in the first reading today, St. Barnabas. I've just been captivated by St. Barnabas. First of all, I think it's important for us to take a look at, where Barnabas was in the early church. When you pick up the Acts of the Apostles, you'll notice that he first appears in the very early chapters of the Acts of the Apostles, where St. Luke is telling us about how the Christian community started to bring their material possessions together for the sake of the entire community. But there are three important points within the Acts of the Apostles, three important moments where Barnabas appears on the scene. And you can check me out on it. You can find the story of Barnabas in chapter 9, in chapter 11 that we've heard today, and in chapter 15. In chapter 9, and you can well understand this, when people were starting to hear this rumor about, Saul, who had been persecuting the Christians, was now a follower of the Lord, a lot of people, for a good reason, had their suspicions. And so what Barnabas did was he brought now Paul into the community, say, it really is true. And I'm not just going to tell you that on my own behalf. Here he is. You can see right here before you. He's going to testify how much he is one of us. And the apostles and the early Christians at that moment accepted Paul because Barnabas was the middleman for Christ. Today we come together and, as Locke shared with us, we start to see the exciting news that the Christian community is growing. It's certainly growing for the Jews in Jerusalem. But the word of Jesus was now also being preached to the Gentiles, and they were located in Antioch. And there was a little bit of concern that maybe there might be a split, that, the church on one hand might be divided by those who were Jews, and on the other side would be another church that would be composed of Gentiles. And Barnabas went to Antioch and basically said, the love of Jesus, if we're really going to hear his voice, we got to be united. We got to take a look at who we are, one in the Lord Jesus. And so in this chapter, once again, Barnabas was a middleman for Christ. He bridged the union between Jerusalem and Antioch and helped the church be what it is today. And then the last place where we're going to find Barnabas is in chapter 15 of Acts of the Apostles. And it's at that point where there's a huge debate, about Jewish practices, and should Gentile Christians now be forced to adopt what were Jewish practices brought from the faith of old. And Barnabas was a significant middleman for Christ to help people to come to a good decision, a decision that in fact had helped the church to grow even stronger. I think you get the picture when we take a look at Barnabas in each of these three important sections of the Acts of the Apostles and what he was able to do to help the church grow. He did it because first he listened to the voice of the Lord, and he did all that he could to build bridges. You and I need to be able to do the same. As we already noted as we began this Holy Mass, there's an awful lot of division that exists in our world. And each one of us can do our part to help bring people together. Yes, we're only one person, but so was Barnabas. And in the end, he listened to the voice of the Lord and was a middleman for Christ. May you and I be the same. May we be middle women, middle men for Christ, helping God's dream come true, that we can in fact become one in him. With hope, we now lift up our prayers to our God.